road safety audit is a formal safety performance examination of an existing or future road or intersection by an independent, multidisciplinary RSA team. The result is an unbiased safety review of a location or project designed to offer feasible, targeted suggestions to improve safety for all road users. The road safety audit process has 8 steps. Step 1 is to identify the project or road in service to be audited. This could be a project in the design stage or an in-service route. Adam Kirk, Kentucky's safety circuit rider, explains how he selects in-service projects.
You can really do a road safety audit on any type of roadway, whether it's under construction, whether there's a maintenance project on that, or it's an existing roadway. What we do for the safety circuit rider program is we're really trying to minimize severe crashes and fatal crashes. At the same time, we want to make sure that these projects that we're looking at are roadways that we can do something for them. So we typically will provide the counties with a list of roads prioritized by the number of crashes. We use an equivalent property damage only, or an EPDO rating on that. So if you have a fatal crash, you get 10 points. If you have a severe injury crash, you get 5, and then property damage crashes get 1 point. So we rank them by that EPDO based on the number of crashes that they have on the roadway. After we go through that, we hand it off to the county, and then they select which roads they want. Sometimes they'll select the top 2 roads, because we'll do 2 within the Safety Circuit Rider program. Other times, they may go on down the list. When we went to Adair County recently, they just selected the top 2 roads, and we did road safety audits on those. When we look at Campbell County, they said that top road, we know what the problem is. It's right outside the high school, so we've got a lot of crashes. So based on that, the county ended up selecting 2 routes that they're looking for low-cost safety improvements on.
Step 2 is to select the road safety audit team. Often this is an independent and experienced team made up of multiple disciplines. We asked Adam how he selects team members.
When we do a road safety audit, we'll typically invite anybody that wants to participate. Oftentimes that may include members of the fiscal court. It may include members of the road department. Sometimes we'll actually include the transportation director from the school system or sheriff's office. They're all invited. Sometimes they will participate and we'll take a large bus with a lot of different people on it. Other times we may only have the road supervisor and the primary sign manager for that county going out. When we did Campbell County, we went out with the road supervisor and the assistant road supervisor. They were most familiar with the roadways because they had about 50 years of combined experience through there. And at the same time, they're responsible for installing and making sure that the signs are proper. In other areas, like I said, we will often invite members of the fiscal court, and that helps them, especially if they are in charge of that area of the county, that they can then go out, they can understand the issues, they can understand why there are problems or crash problems on those roadways. And oftentimes it can also help them understand why there's constraints as far as what we can fix within that roadway itself. So helping them understand the engineering process that we go through for the road safety audits really helps them then communicate with their constituents as well. So I would always say that anybody can be a member of a road safety audit team. What you've got to do is look for somebody that is trying to identify how we can make the roadway better.
Step 3 is to conduct a startup meeting. At this meeting, the RSA team will go over the project information. This may include crash history, traffic volumes, aerial photographs, design drawings, and background reports. We asked Adam what information he prepares for the startup meeting.
When we go for a road safety audit in the startup meeting, what we'll typically do is just go over what we're going to be doing, kind of a plan of attack, if you will. So typically we tell everybody we're going to be driving those roads. We also want to set the expectation that we're going to be stopping frequently. This isn't going to be a 5-minute drive through within the corridor and then get out, but we're going to be taking our time. Explain that we're going to go down the roadway. If anybody has an issue that they'd like to look at, they'd like to talk about, we can stop on the side of the road, we can get out and we can evaluate it a little bit further. We'll also drive the road in both directions so we can see how curves look from both areas. We can see any sight distance restrictions coming up the road or down the road. And then we'll also look at intersections and how we approach the intersections and making sure that sight lines are clear through the approaches as well. Once we set those expectations, then we may or may not review the crash data. Sometimes we don't have a lot of crash data because we may have very few crashes on that roadway. But we'll typically hand out the crash data so that we can understand where crashes have happened, but we also don't want to limit the road safety team to just looking at where those crashes have happened, but more where could crashes potentially happen. So that's really the main focus of the road safety audit. In addition to that, we may just go through some of the areas and the tools that we'll use. One of the things that we've been using recently is electronic data collection, that we can take a picture with our cell phone and then it automatically logs out with a GPS coordinate. And when we do that, we can then map those issues.
Step 4 is to perform a field review. This is suggested for projects both in the design stage and in service. Consideration should be given to performing the field review in peak and off-peak traffic times, day and night conditions, and dry and wet conditions. We asked Adam how he performs field reviews.
The field review is performed by driving along the roadway. We like to do that in both directions. We'll also drive all of the approaches to any intersecting roadways. And as we drive through, if anybody on that team sees an issue that they think may be a safety hazard, they can just call out and then we'll stop. We can discuss it as a team. Somebody may want to get out of the vehicle and look around. Oftentimes when we're on rural roadways and we're looking at edge drop-offs, sometimes the grass can grow up very high and you can't really see that unless you get out of the vehicle. So it's oftentimes good to get out and walk through the corridor as well, especially in certain locations where you've got some concerns. As we go through that field review, if somebody notices an issue, as I had mentioned before, we can take a picture of that and geotag it so that we can enter it into the database. And we've got some programs that we use as well that allow us to put in notes for what that issue was, which direction the photo was taken, and what we're looking for.
Step 5 is to conduct the road safety analysis. In this step, the RSA team will identify and prioritize safety concerns, develop suggestions for reducing the degree of risk, and compose a presentation of findings.
Once that field review is done and we've looked at every direction, we've evaluated any potential cause of concern that somebody may have had driving through the roadway, then we'll go back, we'll compile all that data and sit down and try and prioritize which of the issues need to be addressed, which may be something we saw but is not a real issue, or something that can be a lower priority concern on the roadway.
Step 6 is to present the findings to the project or road owner. At this meeting, you will discuss safety concerns, clarify findings and suggestions, and assist the owner in making the best choices. A formal report summarizes the road safety audit process and findings. Step 7 is to prepare the formal response. The project owner develops the response in writing to findings explaining why they will or will not be utilized moving forward. Step 8 is to incorporate the findings into the project. This could mean changes to the design drawings for the design stage RSAs. For in-service roads, the improvements should be incorporated into operating budgets or maintenance programs if possible. The RSA process provides the project owner with actionable treatments to be considered for use as funding and resources permit. The final report can also be used to support grant and other funding applications for related safety improvements. What advice would you give to a local agency considering a road safety audit?
The best advice I could give to an agency considering a road safety audit is don't get too caught up in procedures and methods. The best thing to do is if you can drive your road, whether it be a single person with your road supervisor, or if you've got a large team, drive those roads and just look at it from a safety perspective. Try and identify where those hazards are, and then try and prioritize how can you start going through your regular maintenance activities, how can you address those and make them easy. Sometimes with road safety audits, we can get too caught up in we need 5 members on the team, or we need to document it a certain way. The best thing to do is to drive the roads, look at where your safety issues are, and then develop a plan in order to address those.